Hello again, this is Graydon Davison, this time with a podcast on assessment tasks for GSBS6001. Like the course, the assessment tasks, called assignments, are designed with two purposes in mind: content and academic skills. This means that the tasks are designed to assess the progress of your learning at a particular stage of the course in the topics, the content, and the academic skills covered at that stage. You can see that the timing of assignments is first laid out in the course schedule on page 9 of your course outline. You can see also that actual due dates will be posted on Blackboard. At the start of the trimester, you'll see these dates posted as announcements on the announcements page, and they will also come to you on the Blackboard calendar. When you look at the assessments in the schedule, you'll notice that there is no exam for this course. Also, there are no assessable group tasks in this course. Every assessment is an individual task. On page 11 of your course outline, at the top of the page, under the heading Assessment Items, you'll see more detail about the assessments. You can see what each is called, the learning outcomes it is addressing, the weighting, that is the total marks that are available for each task, when it is due, how it should be submitted, and whether or not you will have the task returned. Under this table you can see the specification for the assignment format. Note that it is your responsibility to keep a copy of each assessment item or task that is submitted. The grading criteria table takes up the rest of page 11. Marks are given for each assessment, but grades are only given for the final result for a course. You can see in this table the ranges of marks for which particular grades are given, as well as a long description of each grade. HD means high distinction, D means distinction, C means credit, P means pass, FF means fail. Now let's have a look at the assignment layouts. We'll look at assignment 1 first, the observation review, on page 12 of your course outline. Here you'll see a table form common to all three assignments. All of the information about the assignment is contained on the page. The weighting, when it's due, expected student output, learning outcomes related to the task. And under the assignment specification table is a table containing the basic assessment criteria. These criteria will become the standards for a marking rubric, that is a performance standard, against which you'll be marked, that will be available to you on Blackboard. The really important part of the assignment specification table is the description of the assignment task, marked here in red. Before you even start to think about undertaking the assignment, or any assignment, understand the task description. You can see that the task description contains one or more instructions, and the closer you can follow these instructions, the better your chance of performing well in the assignment and the lower your chance of performing poorly. So let's have a look at assignment 1 in more detail. Assignment 1 is an observation review in which you are required to write a maximum of 1,500 words. This assignment is designed to have you understand and use 3 different styles of writing: summary writing, critical writing, and reflective writing. In the first 4 modules of this course you will find academic literacy materials, demonstrations and examples that will help you to understand and practice the 3 different styles. Also, if you go to the Blackboard menu on the left of your Blackboard screen and look under the Tools section, you'll see the student manual. The manual can also help you understand the requirements of the 3 different writing styles. It's a searchable PDF document, so if you can't find anything in the index listing, just use Ctrl F to find it in the text. The assignment task here requires you to review a decision you have observed being made in the workplace. If you do not have enough workplace experience to be able to do this, then choose a decision you have observed somewhere else. The key here, notice the bold type for emphasis, is that whichever decision you choose, It should be one you have observed, not one you were involved in. Having chosen a decision to work with, in fact you might choose several and see which works best for the assignment, you are required to do three things. The first is summarise your observation in no more than 300 words. In your summary, you'll have to include, at the least, the topic specified, what decision was made, who made the decision, what factors influenced the decision, and remember here that you can only describe the factors you know about. Don't presume or invent factors. And what was the outcome of the decision. The second task you have in this assignment is to use the theory of bounded rationality to explain the decision-making process in this situation in no more than 700 words. In this part of the assignment, you demonstrate analytical and critical writing skill. Now, for you to successfully undertake this part of the assignment, you must be sure that you have chosen a decision that you can apply the theory of bounded rationality to. There's no point choosing a decision to write about if you can't apply the theory of bounded rationality to it. So, you need to understand the theory before you choose which decision to work with. Your third task is to explain what decision you would have made in this situation. Use the theory of bounded rationality to reflect on your reasons for making the decision that way in no more than 500 words. In this part of the assignment, you will demonstrate your reflective writing skills. And what you're being required to do here is to reflect on or think about the decision that you've now written about in summary and analytically, and describe how and why you would make the decision different. Again though, you have to use the theory of bounded rationality as a framework for your writing. Again then, you need to understand the theory before you undertake the assignment. So in summary, for assignment 1, you have to write in 3 different styles and use the theory of bounded rationality as a framework for 2 parts of that assignment. On the plus side, the theory of bounded rationality is not difficult to understand. You'll find that most of you will be quite familiar with the concepts it contains, and you'll have experienced its effects on many occasions, especially if you're a decision maker. Remember that you can post questions about assessments on the discussion boards. Now let's look at assignment 2, an individual case study analysis, which is on page 13 of your course outline. You can see the same layout as assignment 1, weighting, due, expected student output, learning outcomes related to the task. And under the assignment specification, there's the basic assessment criteria that will become standards for a marking rubric that you'll be able to see on Blackboard. Now look at the description of the assignment task. You'll see that in this assignment you are required to choose one of 3 case studies that I will supply. These case studies will be available to you after the submission date for assignment 1. Once you have a chosen case study to work with, you have to undertake a critical case study analysis. Again, there are resources available to you to understand and see examples of this type of analytical approach and writing. You will have seen these in the module-based academic literacy files. There's also the student manuals and other resources available via the library. This assignment requires you to use more than just a single theory to explain what's happening in the decision making described in the case study. In this assignment, you're required to put more of what you have learnt into use. By the time you are completing this assignment, you will have undertaken modules covering a number of topics that will be useful to you in articulating your critical analysis. Once you have chosen your case study, read it until you understand it in terms of the assignment. You have to do the following. Identify the relevant decisions and issues in the case study. Do this through the application of what you've learnt. For example, are there ethical issues to be investigated? Are there issues of risk management? Does the psychology of decision making apply usefully in the case that you're working with? Then evaluate the decisions and issues in the light of the various theories and concepts that you are using. Then make recommendations for how things might have been done differently or better. Be aware also that this assignment requires a particular format for writing, that of a written report, as described in the student handbook, plus correct referencing and a reference list. Note that the executive summary you have to undertake with this assignment is not included in the word count. And finally, let's look at assignment 3, a personal case study reflection. And this is on page 14 of your course outline. You can see the same layout as assignments 1 and 2. You can see weighting, due, expected student output, learning outcomes related to the task. And again, under the specification table, you can see the assessment criteria that will become standards for a marking rubric that will be available to you. Now look at the description of the assignment task. In this assignment, you are required to undertake a critical reflection of a personal decision-making situation in the workplace in no more than 2,000 words. If you have limited workplace experience, you may use a personal decision-making situation from another context. This does not mean you should use a personal decision. It means that if you don't have appropriate workplace experience to choose a workplace decision, then choose one from somewhere else in your life. Understand also that a personal decision-making situation is one in which you were involved, whether or not you actually contributed or made the decision. So in this assignment, you are supplying the case study. As in assignment 1, don't pick a decision to work with that you can't apply the various theories to. You'll have to identify and evaluate the decision-making issues that arose in your case. Then you have to reflect on how you might have dealt with those issues if you had been exposed to what you have seen in this course at the time of the decision. In other words, how would you have used what you've learnt in this course? Remember, the primary purpose of what you're doing is to produce a reflection. Make sure that the majority of what you write is the reflection itself. Some students get so engrossed in producing the identification of decision-making issues that they end up producing a critical analysis instead of a critical reflection. So, while the introduction is important and the identification of issues using theories are important, the reflection, again using the theories, is the reason for the assessment. Now, before I finish, there are a few more things I should tell you. 1, when it comes to word counts, each one specified in this course is a maximum. You should not need to exceed it. But if you do, I will allow you to exceed it by only 10% of the maximum available. Anything you write after that limit, I will not read. Make sure you understand the assignment task before you undertake the task, and make sure you stay on track by going back to and checking your original understanding. Don't be afraid to change it if you have to. Sometimes what happens is that you generate a different understanding as you progress with the assignment. If you have questions, ask. If you don't want to ask a question on discussion boards for whatever reason, email me directly. And lastly, your job as the author is to lead the reader. Remember, when you lay out your assignments, any of your assignments, that the easiest way to lead a reader through your assignment is to use headings, and headings that have a logical sequence and layout. By all means, use subheadings if you think it helps or if you think it necessary. Also, break up your writing and your ideas with paragraphs so that you're not forcing the reader to look at large slabs of text. I'll speak to you again.